Hey, how you doing? I think we're getting you.
Got it. How we doing? Now I
Great.
can hear you.
Hey.
How's your day?
Doing pretty good. It's been one of those
Yeah.
days where I feel like it's been busy, but I'm pretty sure you've been a lot busier than I have.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think we're all just. I think a lot of the energy is interesting. It kind of takes it out of you, figuring out how to do things different. Sometimes,
That
you train your mind.
I think that's true. I told somebody I was doing some physics earlier with my third grader, and
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and trying to figure out how to explain like force on an object when it's in space and what that does. And we were watching this NASA video, and that's just not a part of my brain I have to use a whole lot, to be really honest.
Well, isn't that the teacher's job? I mean, what's going on here?
Well,
They move the kids home, and now you're in charge of teaching them. That just to make no sense. They ought to be paying you.
it's a lot of pressure. You know that? It's a lot of pressure.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
Awesome.
Thank you. I know that you've probably got things to move on to, so I really appreciate this. We want to share.
I've been looking
Yeah.
forward to this, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Well, the other day on our staff call, you shared some great stuff. And so Sunday, we really wanted to be able to share some pieces of that with our whole congregation. And so Sunday, Brad is going to be talking about post-resurrection time of Jesus' life here on earth and the commands that he gave to us during that time. And so if you could kind of, in a nutshell, let our people know a little bit about how you kind of accepted this call to do ministry, to be a part of Waterstep, and what that looked like when you said yes. What does your story look like in that?
Okay. Are you videotaping this, or you're just
I am, if that's okay. Yes.
Oh, okay. So I need to think about. Let me think about that in a snippet then. Let me get this glare off of me too, so I'll try to help out with that. So ask me that again, and I'll try to do a better job.
Sure. So,
put this together.
Yeah, no, as Christ, after resurrection, he was here on earth, and he really focused on leaving behind some commands, right? And instructions for us. And so thinking about what that looks like for you, and how you have taken those commands and you're living it out every day, right? In your ministry there with Waterstep. And so what did that look like when you decided to say yes to a ministry now that is global? What does your story look like in when you kind of heard a call to say yes to the Lord in that?
Mm-hmm. I know for a lot of us, when people inspire us or stories inspire us, the stories are already kind of put together, and you're thinking, gee, that's great. I want to do something like that, or I want to be be involved in something like that. Well, the story's already put together. And so when we place that filter on our lives, or we try to overlay that plan on our own lives, it really doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So finding in our own life what we're passionate about, what we're connected with, what makes us uncomfortable, where we see God at work is a pretty complicated thing when you write it all out and think about it. And if you storyboard it on a dry marker board or in your journal or something like that, how does this work? I think for most of us that are passionate about God's work in our life, that we sense and understand the redemption there, the mercy and the grace, we're thinking, man, this is pretty great. I want to make sure that I can connect with other people, and that could happen in their lives. Mm-hmm. And what's the best way for that to happen? For me, I was faced with water issues when I was very young in college in West Africa. And I was in the middle of nowhere, and people were sick and dying of unsafe water. And it's something that kind of stuck with me. I didn't know what to do with it back then. It just kind of got stuck in my mind and in my soul, and I just kept looking, for the answers. And through it all, I had to go through a series of successes and failures, I guess, and learning things and unlearning things in a process to where I was even able to understand or sense next steps in my life.
Sure.
As I look back on that, I think for me, a lot of it has just been a friend of mine helped me learn the phrase years ago, just do the next right thing.
Yeah.
And so I think when we're trying to imagine where we kind of want to be, it's hard to sense how to get there. And that's the big thing with my life. I always see where I want to get to, and then there's people around me that know how to get from one place to another, and I don't know how to do that. I just see that. And having mantras like do the next right thing, and being prayerful in the midst of that, eventually that can take us to where we sense a more fuller, maybe more full involvement in what we may be able to be involved in God's calling for our lives. I don't see that as kind of a leap. I see that as a process, and I don't see it as a straight line either. I think that God's grace works in such a way when we come to a path and it's like, go right, go left, and God might be saying, left would be great. Can you go left? And I go right. It's like, well, he doesn't look at you and say, well, you screwed your life up. It's over. Just we're going to have to give it up from here.
Yeah.
But God continues on the path with us and guides us. And it's through making the right decisions, in the direction and the wrong decisions. And I believe with all my heart and that is this grace, this mercy on our lives that overall is how God moves us in that direction. And that to me is how we get to end up in places that we have the responsibility and need to have the awareness that this moment, this time is okay. Because I am in the midst of this journey that God is inviting me to. I'd like to be there with that,
right.
But today's important. Every single day is important because I'm making decisions today that I hope will get me there. Mm-hmm. But going with the Lord, I'm able to see that more clearly as time goes on.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, and it's a picture of, as you mentioned, it's not necessarily, right or left, right? Correct. But it's these little steps and little decisions along the way, versus maybe one big monumental moment that changes
right
course, right?
And I think that's, I don't know about you, but I watch a lot of film, mm-hmm. and it's like, oh my gosh, I want that. I can't wait. I want that. Well, the film's over in about an hour and a half. And, I'm waiting for that, but, when you look at it, it's like the film story is decades in length.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've done scripture too throughout my life. I'm like reading this little story and it's like, that's it. That's what I want. Well, how many 40-year terms, do I need to go through, that God's working in my life, that these series of completions have to happen. And it's often a lot.
Yeah. So as we've kind of been going through what feels like a really upside down world, can you give us an idea of ways that Waterstep has been able to kind of intersect people's lives and some ways that...
I'm sorry, you got to go back. I totally lost you. I don't know what happened to my computer, but all the audio went out. Try it again.
Problem.
All right, I'm so
sorry. So things have been a little upside down for us in the past couple of months. And what are some ways that Waterstep has been able to intersect people's lives and minister in this global pandemic? What has that looked like for you guys in your ministry?
It's really a dream come true, being able to work in our own hometown, in our own neighborhood, in our own backyard.
Sure.
Because most of our work is done far away. We've had a lot of support. The church has been a big part of our story together, and just want to thank you all for that. The embracing that the church has done for Waterstep has been humbling. But to be able to work with the church like in our own neighborhoods is crazy. And like I said, it's a dream come true. For us, we brought our game that we usually play. So right off the bat, we pretty much said, we know what we've got. We know how it works. We know what it's effective in. COVID-19 is Ebola's sister. We've been successful with Ebola. This works. How do we help people understand that? So immediately we kind of went into a disaster response, kind of our inner Waterstep clan went into the disaster response mode that we've been in before. And our big job has just been trying to educate and help people understand. I was at Family Scholar House this morning. We've put out over 60 of our Bleach Maker units just in the Louisville area.
Okay.
Homeless shelters, social centers, the jails, and prisons. We had 10 prisons across the state want Bleach Makers. But we went to Family Scholar House. I use that as an example today. Family Scholar House is a great ministry in town. Kathy Dykstra and her team do wonderful work for single moms that have children that want to become educated, get a better job, raise their kids in community. And so they live together in these apartments, and they go to school and they work. Well, a lot of them have lost their jobs because of COVID-19. Others have lost funding. And if you can imagine being a single mom without disinfection to be able to use in your home with children running around, you're scared to death.
Yeah.
So having the Bleach Maker, they got 5 Bleach Makers. And a lot of this has been because we've been able to have donations and to be able to donate these to organizations like this. Well, this morning they started making their bleach and firing that out. They got 5 Bleach Makers. So they're putting bleach in spray bottles. Some of the the moms were over, and they were just kind of blown away. Nobody knows in the United States that you can do this because we've never needed it.
Yeah.
Nobody knows this. I mean, we're excited about it. It's been really difficult to get people in the U.S. excited about it because I'll just go to Walmart.
Yeah.
But today, it's pretty cool seeing faces of people like, oh my gosh, we haven't seen disinfectant in weeks, and now you're telling us we can have all the disinfectant we want when we want because we get to make it ourselves, and the only thing it costs us is a bag of salt.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that's been really fun, and I'm so proud of our team and just the people of Louisville that have come together, to do all the work over the years. Again, the church and many of you all in the church over the years have even individually given to Waterstep and been a part of the ministry that we've done. But a lot of it's like hard to see, hard to experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, now we're doing it together, and there's this new jazz, these, oh my gosh, this kind of fun thing that's like, I want to make bleach. So, well, we can do that.
That's great. I love it. You've kind of mentioned a little bit that it's happening in our own backyards, and with some of our other mission partners overseas right now, we've asked them how they might encourage us here at Adventure, encourage more challenge, how you would challenge us to be involved during this time of pandemic, just to be on mission. Do you have any suggestions for us or a challenge that you might issue to the congregation at Adventure?
Yeah, I think social media, it's so interesting. I don't know about you guys, but I never really wonder where anybody is anymore.
Yeah,
I know where they are. They're at home. I can get them at home. So everybody's available all the time. Of course, that is kind of, I don't know about you, some of you guys at the church and what you're doing, but we're just work all the time. It's like we're just calling each other all the time because you're always around. And then what happens too is we're always looking for something to read or experience. And social media, I think, has taken on this different element of information and seriousness to it, but also seems to me, I may be wrong, I'm not a big social media person, seems a little more depth. I mean, used to it was all, cat videos and stuff like that to a degree, everybody needs to see the little puppy. But the power, I think, of story is more important than ever. We're looking for the depth of story because we all are connected, I think, more often. It may not be face-to-face, it's different. I miss the face-to-face. But that said, a long answer to a short question is, I believe the church can be a very powerful tool in social platforms for like our work together. Mm-hmm. So we've got news stories. The media's been real good to us. We have a lot of stuff on Facebook, a lot of stuff on Instagram and LinkedIn, and then we have a whole area of our website of stories that people could post out. Now, if we're looking at partnership, like our partnership together, right, I think we are all on the same team, and just liking something or, sharing that, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. Yeah. But when we are able to take a story and look for the places that it can apply, it transforms everything. For an example, how many of the folks at Adventure Church are aware of people that might be connected to homeless shelters or social service organizations around the nation? Mm-hmm. How many people are connected with folks that are doing great work in Eastern Kentucky, but they don't have disinfection? Mm-hmm. How can we use this tool as ourselves and own this together as a church? And imagine making connections where we can bring a ministry of disinfection. And let me tell you something kind of interesting. If you are in this virus and you are in a place that doesn't smell real good, it doesn't feel real good, and you lay over that, the COVID-19 disaster, it might even feel a little scary. You bring in the scent of bleach, things start getting wiped off, I'm starting to feel better, things are cleaner. So even in depressed situations, communities where there may be some of that depressed economic living, the scent of bleach can make a big difference. Yeah, and that is kind of ministry in and of itself, right? Sure. So the power of us today on Zoom in the church can be, motivated and multiplied and creating a movement, if you will, that allows us to reach out and touch folks with this story in ways we hadn't imagined. Sure. And then I'm a big believer if the need is out there, the finances and the story's out there strong, the finances can come. So then we just figure out together how to make that work. But I believe one of the most powerful things that we have together today is this story that redeems us against the battle for the coronavirus. One lady a couple of weeks ago, she was with a county action service, and there's about 23 of those around the state, and she had 3 counties she was working with, helping out people in need, the elderly, homeless folks, kids that weren't having good meals. And she described the Bleach Maker, and if you've seen the darn thing, she said, this is the sword. It's the weapon on the front line of the coronavirus. And I
That's
was like,
awesome.
oh my gosh, I use that all the time. So, so, it might be a way for us to work together to find out where we can give this sword away. And like I said, I guess the smell of bleach is probably a little different for me. I love it. And we brew it all the time at Waterstep, just making sure we're reminded of it. But that's what I told them at Family Scholar House today. They're like, wow, the smell of this bleach is great. I said, just keep brewing the stuff. Let everybody smell it all the time. It feels good right now. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm bad.
No, it does. It does. So if with this story, if people want to get a bleach maker in someone's hands, how would we do that?
Right. So we are ramping up manufacturing. We have never had this kind of demand before. But we've dreamed of it. So we're trying not to be afraid of it. On our website, there is a place for you to go, and we are evaluating where bleach makers go, where the highest need is.
Okay.
So you fill out a form, you send that in, and then we work together to figure that out.
Okay.
Again, we can't donate these. It costs us money to produce them. We have to pay for materials. Our labor, this is crazy. Our labor's been volunteer up to now, but I think we're going to have to be hiring somebody to start putting these together too. So we can't do it for free, but together we can figure out those places of the highest need. The coronavirus, we're going to see, I believe, and I'm not a professional, we just watched epidemics around the world for years. We're going to see this moment to where we're going to kind of flatten, people are talking about flatten that curve for a while, but then there's going to be probably a boomerang effect. And that's when we're going to get settled a little bit. We're going to release our restrictions a little bit. Over here, the developing world in Central America, South America, India, Asia, countries in Africa, all of a sudden, there's going to be this boomerang effect where the world's going to mingle a little bit, and then bam, we're going to see this thing washed back through.
Yeah.
So it gives us an opportunity to help people remember this is what it's like to go through a pandemic. What are the tools on the front line? Bleach is the tool of protection. It is the frontline sword to fight the coronavirus. So the more work that we can do to educate people on that, the more we help even in that boomerang time as well as today.
Yeah, that's incredible. Anything else that you would tell Adventure right now?
As a person of faith, I believe prayer is vital. I carry my little psalm book around. I think praying the Psalms is just a very important thing to me. It's got that lament that, gee, God, everything kind of sucks. Are you going to do anything? I'm working my butt off here. When are you going to show up and help? To God, this is great. Everything's good. I mean, it's our person, right? Our personality, it's humanity, who we are. We just kind of ping back and forth. But I think those prayers are important, and for us to pray in a new way as a community, that though the world is seeing a swath of change forever, a swath of death that we don't know where that will end up, of fear, of financial loss, I'm a believer that, a lot of people say God is in control. I'm not sure about that sometimes. I think God is with us and lets things happen in the freedom that he gives us in relationship. So I believe praying together is the most important, and praying together in ways of wisdom that helps us to find people that we can bring together in a fold together to encourage and to share life with in new ways. This bleach thing is just one example. There's so many other ways for us to work together, but we at Waterstep want to bring a more seamless relationship between two organizations, the organization Adventure and the organization Waterstep, and for us as a people, to be a place of hope, for folks to know that we are trying to do the next right thing, and we are trying to be on the right page of need. And for us as Waterstep to just do the best that we can in our own backyard and domestically as we have as in other places, and to empower people with the best tool we've got.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. And I like, just kind of the carrying around the Psalms book. I like that. I like that that's just kind of in your pocket. And you're right. That is a book that is got all the highs and all the lows, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. It's the highs and the lows of humanity. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to get to share this with our church body and let them hear about some of the awesome things that are happening with Waterstep. I know that some of the church family that got to come down and see your all's facility, we have a lot of people that are super excited about it. So they're going to be thrilled to hear kind of how you all are working here in Louisville. And that's why I asked, so if people are interested in those bleach makers, where can they go? So we'll direct them to your website, it sounds like. And I guess if we have questions, we'll just reach out and ask. Does that work?
You got it. That's perfect. Right. Yeah. And if I don't know how long this thing goes on, but if we want to do a virtual tour, that's one of the things that we're beefing up is virtual tours.
Okay.
Tomorrow at noon is our first virtual tour.
Oh, cool.
So if you got anybody, that wants to go to that, let me know, and I'll push you all to the right Zoom site.
Sure.
With Natalie that's hosting that. But if it goes good, we'll be doing a lot more. But it'd be fun to do one for the church too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I'll see if we've got anybody that wants to hop on tomorrow. How are your volunteer resources right now? Are you limited on who you can use? And
so it's interesting. We have a few people that come into the office, and we're very careful. The people that are manufacturing the bleach makers take pieces and parts home with them, and of course that's a kind of a higher level of expertise. But like our shoe work that a lot of volunteers did, we really don't have that many shoes coming in.
Yep.
A lot of people aren't donating those, and then supposedly the coronavirus can live on shoes, they've been saying. So what do you do about that?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Who knows?
Who knows?
So we don't want anybody to get shoe corona. So our volunteer, I think that's why I was saying more than anything, I think our volunteers have an opportunity to turn towards social media is where the power of volunteering can come for Water.
No, that's great. That's definitely where we can ask people to, use their time and use their influence, right? So
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
All righty. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yep. You have a
great
afternoon.
God bless you.
Yep.
You too. Call me if you need anything else. I loved it.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me be here today.
All right. Thanks so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.